All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to our political talk show, yet for another political discussion. And joining me today is none other than the man himself, your favorite political analyst and human rights activist, Chris Maliongovi, aka NRM.
Yes, how are you, my brother?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
See, you are here today.
Yeah.
Yes, it's. I'm glad to be here today. Yes, please.
Yeah. We've seen the weather is quite hot, and we decided to change our background, or rather the environment.
Yeah, sure. It's very important that from time to time you have to change. A change is always for the good. Yeah. So the outdoors are good, and I feel it's much better to be out here. Actually, it helps us also to be in tandem with the environment that we are in. Yeah. Yes.
You know, seeing you with a cowboy hat, reminds me of Texas.
Texas. I remember the days I used to listen to the country music. Yeah. Country Road, Take Me Home to the Place I Belong in West Virginia. So I listen to such songs. But for us in Kenya, we changed the song. We said, country road, take me home to the place I belong in Western Kenya. So rather than West Virginia, we placed there.
You say Western Kenya, where you come from?
Yeah, where we come from, country road. Mm-hmm. Yes, back to the place where we come from. Yes.
Otherwise, how is the going, sir?
Not bad. We are okay. We are doing good. Just a little bit of heat, but all is good, and we cannot complain much. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, quite a number of things have happened, over time in the last 1 week. We've seen a lot happening, and I just wanted us to focus on one thing that has drawn the attention of so many Kenyans.
Yes.
LGBTQ.
Why is it a very big issue? I'm wondering why LGBTQ should be a big issue. It shouldn't be. I'm a human rights activist myself. I'm a human rights activist, and I've not seen so much. I don't know. There is too much ado over nothing. It's much ado about nothing.
Maybe just to cut you short, after the Supreme Court judges, ruled out that there is freedom for LGBTQ community to form, associations and all that stuff. We've seen a number of religious leaders, our members of parliament, and even the president yesterday talked about the same issue. So to begin with, do you support the Supreme Court ruling?
I support the Supreme Court ruling. I support it in totality. And, His Excellency the President, William Samoei Ruto, is a man of God. He's a man of God, and is very religious. I expected that he will oppose. He said that he respects the ruling of the court, but he opposes LGBT issues because of religious issues and cultural issues and so on. I expected that will happen. I expected that because President William Ruto is a man so much of the altar and so on. The wife also, Mama Rachel, the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, and even the wife. They are all men and women of the altar. Yes, they're men of the cloak, and so on. But of the collar and so on. But I can tell you this for free, that it was long overdue. This thing should have come much earlier. Because we cannot pretend that it's not there. I've seen people mention it, that it's against African culture, it's against our culture, but I think it's because they don't know their culture. That's the saddest thing about Africans, is that we don't know about the West, we also don't know about Africa, so I don't know what we know, because we know nothing. King Kabaka Mwanga of Buganda was said to be gay before the white man arrived. In fact, that is what caused the killing of the Uganda martyrs. It is said that he wanted to sodomize some of them, and when they rejected his advances, they eventually he killed them. He burnt them at the stake. Yeah, and homosexual behavior, or others are nuanced, others are disguised. Homosexuality, LGBTQ, those are things that have always been in the African in the African setup. Yeah, when we talk about transgender issues, those are things that have been there. There used to be not given much priority, but they were always there. Men who, in fact, we perhaps we never much advanced into that science of sex change, yeah, so that a person who is a male becomes female and so on. But those are things that have always been there. Men who have both. We have the hermaphrodites. The hermaphrodites were there in the African setting. So when people talk about these issues, I wonder which Africa they know, because the Africa I know is that abortion was there. Only that it was not in the scientific way that we are trying. It was illegal, and sometimes abortions were induced, especially if it was out of incest, for instance. If a pregnancy was out of incest, if a pregnancy was out of a child who was supposed to be married somewhere and so on, somewhere else, some communities in Africa used to induce abortions. Maybe right at birth, at the point of birth, they used to do it. They could induce that, and sometimes you could hear that a woman killed a child in her thighs while she was delivering. Those things used to happen. That is abortion. I don't know which language people understand or they don't understand. So I can tell you this for free, that LGBTQ rights are human rights. One thing I want to tell our fellow Kenyans, and indeed Africans, is that what doesn't concern you should not be a bother. Because LGBT people will not come into your houses to force you to become LGBTQ.
But you know, Bwana NRM, just to cut you short,
yes,
because this is a topic that has risen a lot of controversy, and when you say that, it will affect you either directly or indirectly. It might not necessarily get to you, but as we're growing, we have our children, we're raising our children, and we seeing, they are watching all these things. When you make it legal, is it not going to affect him? How will you feel when your son comes in and tells you that
yes,
he has another boy, as
my son or my daughter, when that time comes for me to have such family, will not come to me with a boy or a girl as a husband and wife. I mean, both of the same gender, if they are not born gay. I don't know why people are so much scared.
If they are not
born gay. People are born gay. People are born lesbians. It's not a thing
What do you mean people are born
No,
gay?
someone cannot just come and take you, my brother Eugene. Someone cannot just come and take you here and call you gay. And that is why I wonder why people are so much concerned on the issues that don't concern them. These are issues of the LGBTQ. They are not issues of people who are straight. So when people tattoo their bodies, for instance, does someone come and stop you from tattooing your body? That is someone's body. Let people live their lives, because that's their body. If that is their body, I don't think that I should come and dictate how someone wants to use their body. If, for instance, someone wants to tattoo their body, someone wants to... And that is why, I don't know why some people are even... I even saw the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga quoting a part of the Constitution that people should marry only people of the opposite sex. I think, he's an engineer. He doesn't know matters of law. That is why the other day they took to court hot air and wild goose search. Those people married in a gay setup. One of them is male and the other one is female. It's hard for many people to understand these things. And that is why they are so much raising so much hue. There is much hue and cry. One of them is male. That is why they're not all husbands and all wives. One of them marries the other. So, when you talk about the opposite sex, sex is an orientation. Sex is an orientation. Who is female? Who is male? Sex is a whole complex issue. It's not just about genitals. It's not about the physical aspects of it. It's a whole complex issue, and that is why when they are in a same-sex marriage, one of them is male, the other one is female. And if you are not created that way, if you are not born that way, you need not care about it. Because these people, the LGBTQ, will not be coming to your house to tell your daughter to do these things. And by the way, some people have mentioned that, it was the US that brought these things. By the way, you should know this. Some parts of the US still resist LGBTQ. In fact, the issues of gender, of gay rights and so on, LGBTQ, are just being given prominence in this in the 90s and the 2000s. Otherwise, behind there, some years back, in the 70s and 60s, going backwards, the people who were born gay or lesbians or transgender were so much frowned upon in Europe and the United States. So someone should not say that it was brought by the whites. It was not brought by the whites. These things have been there. In our high schools, in our secondary schools, we used to have gays and lesbians. Unless people want to pretend these things have not been happening, they are lesbians.
Okay, it's like making it, legal will now means that, they were there, yes, but under hidden conditions. But now you're making them legal, and people will be out there, publicly declaring that they are gays and, lesbians and all that stuff. But just to get from your point of view, and even from a scientific point of view, so we now have a man married to another man. So one is wife, one is the husband, or even a female. That is, you find a lady, she's married to another lady. So one is male, one is female. So how is it, giving birth and how?
Their interest, I do not know so much what they will want to do, but I can tell you for free that the interest of the LGBTQ is not to get killed children, for instance. And by the way, who said that every sex leads up to childbirth? Much of the sex that people are engaged in these houses and so on is for entertainment. Much of the sex that people are engaged in is for entertainment. Who told you that it's for entertainment and enjoyment? It's not that people engage in sex every other time to give birth to kids. So when people talk so much about children, how will the LGBT get children? I mean, when you marry your wife, if at all every sex act could lead up to a child, we could be having so many kids in this world. But you only get one child after every 9 months. And some cases have arisen where a woman just delivers, and within those very months, someone can also get pregnant. But the essence of sex is for mostly enjoyment. People just enjoy sex. So I don't know why people talk about so much about children. And these people, the LGBTQ, engage in it for the purposes of, I think I'm not a gay, but I can tell you that we must begin entering into their minds to start understanding what it is that they undergo and so on. The problem with us is that we refuse to think. Just because we refuse to think, we want to turn that into violence. We want to attack them. The problem with us, we are given a head to think. That is why the head is on top of the rest of the body. That should come priority. Number one, the head is up here. We are not the anthropophagy that Shakespeare talked about. Men whose heads do grow beneath their shoulders. Let us first of all start thinking. What is it that these people go through? What is it that they are thinking? What it is that what are they? Be sure that. And by the way, the moment we allow them to begin operating freely, we can now know what is their health. What are their health conditions? How do we take care of their health issues? How do we take care of their psychosocial issues? But when you hide them and pretend it's not there, that is foolery. It's the same thing with marijuana. People are smoking marijuana, but it is banned. It's criminalized.
So maybe just as you wind up, your final shot.
Yes.
So will it not be ending humanity?
Not everyone is born gay. Those ones who are not born gay will procreate, will fulfill and fill the world. Fulfill the act of sex to fill the world. Who told you that just because they are a rare people? They are very few, actually. They are very few people. So those who are fearing that perhaps it could lead to the extermination of the human race, you are really... Because even wild animals have...
many people turn it as satanic, actually.
Satan. The problem with us is that we always define everything based on religion. Not everyone believes in religion, for God's sake. There are people who don't believe in religion. So when we impose on them or our aspects of reasoning based on the Bible or the Quran or whatever book, we are getting it all wrong. You are born a human being first with a brain to think before religion came into your life. And it depends with where you are born. If you are born among Muslims, you become a Muslim. When you are born you could even be an Arab born among Christians, you become a Christian. So these are things that we only adapt in life. But the first thing that comes into our minds, that comes with us at birth, is the question of where were we born? How were we born? Our brains. First of all, we must first of all use our brains.
So maybe just my final question to you, Bwana Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand you are a human rights activist and you fight, but are you gay?
I'm not gay.
You're not gay? You're not gay then. Why are you supporting LGBTQ while you are not gay? What is it that, what is it?
Nothing. I just support human rights, yeah? I support all rights of everyone, yeah? I support gay rights. I support marijuana rights. I don't smoke marijuana. But I support those who want to smoke because it's going into their bodies. Let them smoke. I support commercial sex work. If someone is not forced into it, out of their own conscience, out of their own will, because let us not begin taking away people's wills. Because next time you start moving into people's houses to try to police who is sleeping with his wife how many times. The moment you begin going into people's bedrooms, that is where it starts. You start pretending you are looking for gays and lesbians, then you now begin looking for who is sleeping with who. How many times are you sleeping with your wife and so on. That is how it all begins. Let us mark our lanes. Let people, if you are keeping left, keep left. You cannot drive on both lanes. Mind if at all they are not coming to touch you. If the gays come and start recruiting people who are not gay, that one is criminal.
Maybe in just 30 seconds.
Yes.
People feel like, mostly Kenyans, we feel like, the government is trying to bring in, it's like a game because now the Supreme Court is ruling out that, gays can go on and do their stuff. And then the president and the deputy comes out to say, no, we are Africans and we'll stick to our morals. People feel like they're trying to divert the attention of Kenyans or rather focus or to focus on development.
No, the issues of rights, of gender, LGBTQ is part of development, yeah? In some of those developed countries, by the way, for instance, where they are more open, you'll find that half of the people who are in their parliaments are LGBTQ. It's about, they pass bills that bring aid to Kenya and many other countries around the world. Have they stopped thinking because they are LGBTQ? They are elected leaders, and having elected leaders, having a democracy is part of development. So when we engage in these discussions, it's very important that we engage in these discussions so that we start not to think for others. Let people think for themselves. That is the problem. People want to think on behalf of other people's heads. And that is where we're getting it so wrong. Let everyone think for themselves. Let them choose what they want, provided they're not harming anyone, provided they're not recruiting anyone for evil. Let them live their lives. If they come to recruit, that one now they have moved another step forward. And that one they need to be dealt with. But for as long as they are not interfering with anyone's lives, please, for God's sake, let us leave people to live their lives.
All right, a tough debate there with your favorite political analyst and human rights activist, Chris Maliongovi. Make sure you tune in for more episodes. And today, by the way, we're glad that, we joined with quite a number of media houses. I think it's a high time now we come up with a group, because it's courtesy of Scarlet Media, we have Smack Media, we have Beef Media, and we also have Kim Pesa TV. Make sure you tune in for more of your political discussions and subscribe, support the channel, like, comment. I also want to hear your views about LGBTQ. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good day.